population of Muslims of India is 218 million right now. Out of 280 million, 80% of them are below poverty line. They work hard and they earn less than $1 a day.
Whether it be education, whether it be healthcare, whether it be social welfare, whether it be religious type of work, we are the only ones in states. IMRC is the only organization that is providing complete services from birth to death.
There's no overhead. There's no other charity, to my knowledge, that gives 100% of the donation back.
Oh, you who believe, be conscious of God and leave what remains from this usury. If you truly believe in God, leave what remains from this usury if you truly believe in God. Oh, you who believe, be conscious of God and leave what remains from this usury if you truly believe in God. Leave what remains from this usury if you truly believe in God.
Welcome to the 58th Annual Isna Convention. Reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve.
Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, As-salatu was-salamu Nabiyyina Muhammad Ashraful Anbiya sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, and all watching 58th Annual Isna Convention, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May peace be upon you all. Welcome to CSRL session sponsored by Isna Founders Committee. I'm your brother Rashid Nizam, current chairman of the committee. I feel very humble and honored to host this session. Inshallah, we'll start with recitation from the Quran. We have Qari Ghulam Farid will recite for us, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أم يقولون افترى على الله كذبا فإن يشاء الله يختم على قلبك ويمحو الله الباطل ويحق الحق بكلماته إنه عليم بذات الصدور. وهو الذي يقبل التوبة عن عباده ويعفو عن السيئات ويعلم ما تفعلون. ويستجيب الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات ويزيدهم من فضله والكافرون لهم ولو بسط الله الرزق لعباده لبغوا في الأرض ولكن ينزل بقدر ما يشاء إنه بعباده خبير بصير وهو الذي ينزل الغيث من بعد ما قنطوا وينشر رحمته وهو الولي الحميد ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض وما بث فيهما من دابة وهو على جمعهم إذا يشاء قدير صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you so much, Qari Ghulam Farid. May Allah bless you for reminding us those profound ayahs from Surah Shura. MashaAllah. Now I will present the group, the Isna Founders Committee, to you. The founders are a very distinguished volunteers of Isna, was started as a group in 1994 with the intention to support Isna for the sake of Allah, just to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dr. Ghulam Nabi Mir was the first chair, and in 2009 succeeded by Dr. Abdul Alim Khandakar until 2018. The group is known as the Isna Founders Committee. Most of them are still alive and active, alhamdulillah. One of the founding founder passed away a few years ago, Dr. Rana Akbar, and the last year we lost one of our very dear brother, another founder, Dr. Farooq Salood. And very recently, we have lost another founder, Dr. Hussein Nagamia. In addition to their service to their patients, one as an orthopedic surgeon, which was Dr. Farooq Salood, and as a cardiothoracic surgeon, Dr. Nagamia, they both established very important institutions and made significant contributions to the Muslim world. One personal note with Dr. Farooq Salood, one day he told me, Nizam, I never start surgery without reciting Ayatul Kursi. SubhanAllah, since then, every time before I start my case, I remember him. And those who are surgeon do surgery every day, every week, test is the power of that ayah, SubhanAllah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless their soul, forgive their shortcomings, and place them in the Jannatul Firdaus. We don't know who will be the next. Founders have been assisting Isna Development Foundation since established in 1994. Since then, founders have been contributing Isna to grow financially, individual donations, community outreach, and planning for CSRL, the session like this, when you go live, or you go in presence, in person, which has been very successful fundraising even too. Each year, Isna Founders Committee meets at the Isna headquarters in a day-long retreat. I see the pictures in a break time, and to discuss and plan to build fund for Isna. In order to recognize the individuals for their outstanding service to the Muslim communities in North America, Isna Founders Committee introduced Community Service Recognition Award in 2000. In 2016, committee decided to recognize pioneers of Isna for their outstanding contribution during the founding days of MSA, which grew into Isna. In any endeavor, pioneering effort weighs far more than what comes later. Often we forget to connect the dots. Without the original MSA, Muslim Student Association, there would be no Isna. Alhamdulillah, we're able to recognize most of them. Only one or two were left to our best of our knowledge. This year we reached out to both of them. Subhanallah. Out of their humility and humbleness, they both declined to accept the award. And in order to honor them, respect them, we decided not to give award this year anyone. And I told them, and I'm telling you, subhanAllah, those who contributed, those who died for the sake of Allah. There was a story reminds me. During the time of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a group of Sahaba came to him. He said, Ya Rasulullah, these are the brothers. People respect him, honor him, like them, love them. These are the people do good for the people, donate generously. Say something about them. What do you think about them? Rasulullah said, this is their instant reward in this world. And their main reward is waiting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they meet Allah. So may Allah multiply their reward when we'll meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for all of us, inshallah, may Allah remember us to be humble and humility for the sake of Allah. Inshallah, we'll rethink, reimagine, and come up with the new criteria to give award. Just to tell you how the process we do, we have three distinguished brothers form a committee, and they meet and they nominate the selection, the name, send the name to the ISNA Founders Committee, and we discuss in our meeting and come up with the final name. Inshallah, we'll continue to do so from next year when we will meet again in person, hopefully in Chicago. And until then, be safe, get vaccinated, use your mask whenever and whatever is required, and follow the guidelines. May Allah protect us all from all evil. And may Allah, I ask us to open our heart to be more generous and support to the best of our ability to Islam. Now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our dear brother, ISNA President, Safa Zarzour. Safa Zarzour is a passionate educator. He is the current president of ISNA and the former chairman of the Council of Islamic School of North America. We call it CISNA. He holds a JD, Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from DePaul University School of Law, Master in Education from the University of Illinois in Chicago. He is the superintendent of universal schools located in Illinois and Indiana. He is the principal attorney of the law firm Zarzour Law LLC. Previously, he served as the principal of one of the largest Islamic schools for over a decade. And I always see him with a beautiful smile in his face. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce my dear brothers, Safa Zarzour, President ISNA.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Rashid Nizam. I'm so grateful and humbled by those beautiful words from you about our founders and about those of them that passed this year, Dr. Farouk Salod and Dr. Nagima. It is heartbreaking to lose them, but we know that their reward is with Allah and that they have moved into a better place, inshallah. And I'm thankful for the words you have said in introducing me. I would like to start on a personal note. You know, my involvement with ISNA started as an attendee back in 1987 or 88. And I attended ISNA for a few years until in 1999, I was asked, and at the time I was serving as a principal in Chicago, I was asked to start the education forum with the mentorship of my dear brother and mentor and father figure, Dr. Abdullah Idris, with the help at the time of Brother Shariq Siddiqui, who worked for community development, or he was the community development director, and we started the program. I can tell you that what moved me from being just an average attendee to wanting to get involved and starting the education forum and eventually becoming a member of Majlis al-Shura, now the board of directors, and eventually being the vice president and the president, is the fact that the people like Dr. Salud and Dr. Nagima were around. It's people like Dr. Abdullah Idris, like Dr. Jamal Badawi. It's people like Dr. Ahmed Sakhar, rahimahullah. People that they really showed me firsthand what does it mean to be dedicated to your community, dedicated before that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to His religion. They really inspired me in ways that I cannot describe. Now, that had got me involved, as I mentioned, in the education forum and in the work of ISNA in general. But in 2010, when I became the Secretary General of ISNA under the leadership at the time of Dr. Ingrid Matson, and she is with us today, and I'm very honored and grateful to be able to say those words with her being the keynote to this event. I remember the very first time I met with the Founders Committee, and when I started getting educated on the structure of ISNA and the different bodies within ISNA, from the executive, at that time the Executive Council, today the Executive Committee, to the board itself, to different committees, to different departments. And then they told me there's something called the Founders Committee. And when I asked what is that, they told me it's a group of dedicated members of ISNA. Most of them were among the pioneers and the founders, and that they work to support ISNA. And when I met them for the first time and sat with them, it really struck me that this is a board, or this is a committee that seeked no power within the organization, has no desire even to try to influence decisions or anything. It just believed that ISNA is a vital institution within the Muslim community in America, believed in the history, the vision, and mission of ISNA, and they wanted to support it and make sure that it continues to stand on its feet. Don't take me wrong, they always spoke their mind, and we always hear from them. But the dedication and the selflessness that they showed, it took me to the next level. It showed me why there were people like Dr. Abdullah Idris and Jamal Badawi and the rest of our pioneers, among the many others that I'm not remembering now. It's that spirit that permeates and permeated the founding of this organization. I truly believe that even today, that and definitely during many difficult times in the history of ISNA, what kept it going, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept blessing it and kept it on its feet, because perhaps of the dedication of these people, as well as the prayers in the depths of the night of souls that truly dedicated themselves to the service of Islam and Muslims. And I'm honored that they are affiliated with ISNA. And that's why I have infinite hope that this organization is not just any other organization. This is an organization that was founded to support and strengthen the Muslim community, to be a platform to bring together everyone and anyone who wants to work for the benefit and for the strengthening and betterment of the Muslim community. And I've seen with my own eyes in the last 25 to 30 years, organizations that were incubated in ISNA, either purposefully, like CISNA, for example, or by virtue of ISNA being the platform where people like-minded met over an idea and then seek the support and receive the support of ISNA. I know some organizations had their offices temporarily at ISNA when they couldn't afford an office. Even though they were on their own 501c3, eventually they went on their own. ISNA never said, we have to own you. Never said, if you don't give us this power over you or that power, we're not going to support you. because ISNA thought outside of those parameters. And today, this is a spirit that I really see lacking a lot in general, but I do believe that it continues to be in ISNA. And that is why it's very important for ISNA to continue to be relevant as a Muslim organization, as a unifying organization, as a platform, as an organization that continuously finds the relevant things that it can do to continue to serve and strengthen and see the betterment of the community. And that's why this year we said we are going to go with the theme of reimagine, rebuild with renewed resolve, because we have to, as I mentioned in the morning, as an organization that can be proud of its legacy of close to 6 decades. With that comes the fact that the world changes continuously, and it's changing faster and faster by the day. And if you do not rethink yourself, reimagine yourself, you reinvent yourself, and keep with the pace, you go by the sideways. And we are committed as a board, we are committed as an organization, with the dedication and the support of our founders and the support of all of you out there, that we urge you to support us at ISNA with your funds, with your dua, with your ability to come and become part of the people who are working hard to see the Muslim community taking its rightful place in the mosaic of America. So please enjoy the rest of the program, enjoy the tribute to great founders that we lost, to the founders as a whole, to all the committee and its members. Each and every one of them is very dear to my heart, and I know them personally. And inshallah ta'ala, you will be motivated and you'll be moved to contribute so ISNA can continue to carry on its message. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for being with us, and enjoy the rest of the program. I know I will, listening to our former president and my dear mentor, Dr. Ingrid Matson. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, brothers Safaz Arzur, for your valuable speech and kind words for the founders. Now it's my pleasure to bring our keynote speaker for this session. Our keynote speaker for this session is Dr. Ingrid Matson. Dr. Matson is a scholar of Islamic studies, an expert in interfaith relations, and a Muslim leader. Since 2012, she has held the London and Windsor Community Chair in Islamic Studies at Huron University College in London, Canada. Previously, she was Professor of Islamic Studies of Hartford Seminary, where she developed and directed the first accredited graduate program for Muslim chaplain in America. From 2001 to 2010, Dr. Matson was elected first as the Vice President of ISNA, served for 4 years, and then she was elected for 4 years as President of ISNA. Dr. Matson is a Senior Fellow of the Royal Al Bayt Institute of Islamic Thought in Amman, Jordan, and has served many boards, including the Interfaith Task Force of the White House Office of the Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, the Council of Global Leaders of the C100 of the World Economic Forum, and the leadership group of the U.S. Muslims Engagement Project. It's my honor and distinct pleasure to present our keynote speaker, Dr. Ingrid Matson.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. As I was thinking about what to speak about for this award, and I was being asked to reflect upon the theme of the convention this year in 2021, which is reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve. Someone really likes alliterative language on the program committee, obviously. I thought it would be interesting to go back 20 years ago and look at the theme of the ISNA convention. Now, in 2001, I had just been elected vice president of ISNA. Sheikh Mohammed Noor had been elected president. And before that, I had served on the convention program committee along with others all throughout that spring. So I have notes from the April meeting for the convention where we had sketched out the different panels. And so I don't have the final version. I'd have to dig that out in one of the boxes. But I thought it would be interesting to reflect on that convention. And what I saw is that the theme was about diversity within the Muslim community. And I saw that we had sketched out April of 2001, 6 panels that all took, some perspective on diversity in the Muslim community. So there was a panel with Dr. Ihsan Bagbi, where he and 2 other researchers presented a demographic study of Muslims in North America. And that was the precursor to this 2020 US Mosque survey report that was recently released by the by Isna and the Center for Muslim Philanthropy. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So that was one panel, the demographic diversity. There was another panel with Suleiman Yang and Fatih Osman talking about human diversity in light of the Quran. There was another panel with Abdul Hamid Abu Suleiman and Ali Mazroui on the legacy of diversity in Islam. Taha Jabal Alwani was on another panel along with 2 others where they spoke about the ethics of disagreement in Islam. So when we have diverse opinions, what is the ethics that we should uphold while we're discussing our different points of view? Another panel had Maher Hattout and Khadija Hafiji, where they spoke about tolerance as a hallmark of the Muslim character. So something that we all need in order to be able to, personally on an individual level, manage diversity and accept diversity. And then there was another panel with a number of speakers, including Murad Hoffman, about how to put diversity into practice in a pragmatic way. And the first thing that some of you may notice is that all of those individuals who I mentioned, except for Dr. Ihsan Bagbi, may Allah give him good health. All of those others who I mentioned have since returned to their Creator. May Allah have mercy on them. May Allah reward them for all of the good that they did. May Allah forgive them for any shortcomings or mistakes that they made. And may Allah reunite us in His merciful presence after we've completed this life. Ya Rab, we ask you, Ya Rab, to accept our dua. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. So, when we think about that was just 20 years ago. The number seems big, maybe for some of us, and for others of us, the time in many ways is passed very quickly. Not without hardship and difficulty, but in some ways passed quickly. 20 years from now, at the Isna convention in 2041, inshallah, may Allah make it a reality, many of us will have joined those who I've named. We will join them, transitioning out of this life to the next. And the question is, what of our activities will leave a positive trace behind us? And God forbid that any of the things we have done will have seeded harm that continues when we leave the realm of this dunya. So that's one sobering thought. The second thing that comes to mind as I reviewed that 20-year-old convention program was to think, how many of these names I mentioned, will young Muslims in our community recognize? I'm sure that the majority will not know any of those names unless they have, read a book that was written or published by them, or some articles, or they have a personal or community connection with them. So when young Muslims think about Islamic scholars and intellectual leaders and community leaders, they have a whole slate of other younger people who come to mind. And to me, this is a reality that makes me very hopeful and optimistic, because this shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continually renew the transmitters of Islamic knowledge and practice, as Allah has done for generations, for 15 centuries, in fact. In 20 years, a person can grow from a Minna participant to a serious academic, a well-trained scholar, a leading professional, an accomplished writer. And we need to continually remind ourselves of that, to remind ourselves to trust in Allah and to trust in our youth, to whom Allah has given tremendous potential. And it's our responsibility to continue to offer them experiences for growth, fellowship, and mentorship. Now, a third thing I noticed from the 2001 convention program is that of the 6 panels I mentioned, 4 of them are all male panels, or in other words, manels, as we say. Well, 2 other of the panels had 2 men and 1 woman on them. Alhamdulillah, in 20 years, this is something that has changed in our community. And we see that our community is much more inclusive, that we know and embrace those in our community, men and women, and from different backgrounds, who are able to bring their expertise and knowledge and wisdom. And I'm really very satisfied and grateful that, alhamdulillah, our present reality is much more inclusive. And that, of course, is built upon the hard work of those who came before us and those who worked hard over these 20 years to make this a reality. It should be a little humbling to us to recognize that we haven't always been this way, and that it's primarily women advocating for themselves and facing sometimes tremendous criticism, disrespect, demeaning comments. But women endured that and pushed against it to be able to create a place so that all of us could really benefit from the wisdom and knowledge and experience that's in our community. But let's hold on to that humility as we look at other Muslim communities, as we consider what today we might not truly understand or get about inclusivity as far as we've come. You know, Isna has for long provided a platform for the creativity and diversity of our community to be showcased. And Isna has long been a training ground for young scholars, preachers, and community leaders. And our convention has exposed students of Islamic knowledge and young community leaders to others like them from different schools of thought, cultural backgrounds, and genders. This is another reason why having an inclusive platform for Isna programming is critical, and it also shows the important place of Isna in the American Muslim community. You know, it may sound like a passive thing to be a platform, but in fact, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of thought, connection, communication to be able to respectfully bring so many people together onto one platform. And the sad reality is that when we see that so many Muslims in America really do not know each other except through social media, that unfortunately, because they lack that opportunity for connection, for seeing the humanity of the other, that very often things descend into a kind of discourse that is really problematic, where we don't take others seriously, where we judge them before knowing them, where we demean them, and their ideas without really giving them a chance. So I do believe that, as wonderful as all of our technologies are, that gathering together in smaller groups, where Muslim professionals get together, as in the Isna, where Islamic educators get together, or the convention broadly, when we are able to gather in person, it really is good to do that. In addition to the growth in the number of mosques and increase in activities that mosques undertake, we've seen a tremendous growth of other organizations, such as those that collect and distribute zakat and sadaqah, both domestically and abroad. We've seen the growth of professionalized and strategic philanthropy, that not only funds, but provides training and mentoring to those who are running all sorts of Islamic organizations and projects that benefit the Muslim community. So we think of the Islamic Scholarship Fund, Al-Hibri Foundation, Pillars Fund, which is one of my main funders for the Hormer Project. And they're providing just tremendous support to hundreds of organizations and scholars and individuals. We've seen the growth of community, retreat, and cultural centers, as well as social justice organizations. Some existed before 2001, but they've certainly grown since then. I'm thinking of Iman in Chicago, the Inner City Muslim Action Network. Thinking more recently of the Majlis in Southern California, Center DC in Washington, that are offering community spaces for Muslims and for their friends and family. I'm thinking of all the specialized and professional Muslim organizations that have grown up in the past 20 years, the Association of Muslim Chaplains, Muslim Wellness, Muhsin for disabled Muslims, Green Muslims, Muslim Mental Health at Stanford, the Youth and Family Institute, Taiba Foundation for incarcerated Muslims, and many, many more organizations that provide support, social services, professional training, that provide practical suggestions for living ethically and morally in our communities and in the world today. I'm thinking of the many Muslim colleges and seminaries, research institutes, and religious educational initiatives that have sprung up. Rabata, Bayan, American Islamic College in a new formulation, TISA, the Islamic Seminary of America, Yaqeen Institute, Taysir Seminary in Tennessee, Qalam Institute, and many others. And forgive me, I cannot be comprehensive. I just wanted to say their names to give us, a sense of a collective sense of accomplishment. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Allah is so merciful and so generous that to give us the freedom and the capacities and the resources to establish these, subhanAllah, it shows that we have, so many opportunities and even more, inshallah, and a tremendous responsibility to constantly review what we're doing, to refresh, to improve, to correct, to give advice, so that we can continue to see what's needed in our communities and bring the kind of programming and initiatives that is needed to support our community and all of those in need. So this beautiful mosaic of American Muslim institutions, mashallah, has been possible and will only be possible if we continue to work together for our common good. And if we continue going back to that convention 20 years ago in 2001, if we respect our diversity, as individuals, that we have the character, that we have the ethics, that we, exercise some discipline on ourselves, and collectively in our organizations, that we also constantly look for the common ground to support and help each other and give advice and correction with the spirit of brotherly and sisterly love and compassion, wanting the good for everyone. We really need to be very careful about setting political litmus tests for sincerity. Politics is the realm of ijtihad, as I said, and it's very difficult. We are never going to find a truly perfect good in the area of politics, especially. But we do need to be very cautious about how we engage with power, because all too often we don't know what we're doing, and we rush to provide some kind of support or validation, when in fact perhaps the harm outweighs the good. So we need to be cautious, as we need to continue to be engaged. We need to continue to take responsibility for those whom we place in power, set clear limits, establish meaningful supervision and review, and respond to violations, and continue to listen to those who come forward and say they've been left out, marginalized, exploited, abused, unheard. Whatever it is, we need to be humble and listen without judgment, and then evaluate collectively whether we need to change things. And when we think about contributing, one of the things I think about when I look at this mosaic is that when we think about contributing, whether financially or with our time and expertise, we should first look to see if there's an existing initiative before we start our own thing. Sometimes a new institution or initiative is truly needed, and sometimes new projects are launched because we haven't done our research to avoid replication, or because of rivalry, vanity, arrogance, or jealousy. May Allah protect all of us and correct us from such bad character and behavior. Finally, I want to just mention briefly some of the things that I have learned in the past year or the year and a half that can help us move to renew and rebuild with imagination and resolve, as is stated in this 2021 convention theme. I believe we've learned, alhamdulillah, that our collective work has made us a resilient community, alhamdulillah, able not only to weather a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic through creative means such as online learning platforms and drive-through aids, but we've also seen our health professionals and essential workers and others contribute tremendously to the public good with great compassion, skill, and sacrifice. And we've seen that the majority of our religious and community leaders have been trusted voices of reason and compassion in this global crisis. Seeing the outburst of creative programming has also highlighted that perhaps we have not until now always benefited from the full potential of the available technology, and that we have not always been as inclusive in our programming, how we present it, and who we platform as we thought. So the question for us now, as we open up our mosque, is how we will continue to give access to those in our communities who are living with disabilities or who have other barriers to access, and how will we contribute to benefit from women scholars and others whose voices were truly uplifted and of great benefit when the mosques were closed. And while most of our scholars and community leaders have uplifted science and reason as instruments of understanding in our situation, we have also seen that distrust of authority, political authority, medical authority, scientific authority, has undermined expertise and reason. Now, distrust of medical or political authorities can be warranted, but unhinged conspiratorial thinking can ruin society. Critical thinking and a good ethical education is the foundation for a functioning society, so that we do not let shak and wahm and hawa override probable knowledge. Therefore, there really is an urgency to teaching and upholding critical Islamic reasoning. Finally, we've learned that simply being with people, first with those in our own households, then with our friends, our neighbors, and community members is critical, indispensable to our mental and spiritual health. Even good access to a mental health professional, which is certainly important, cannot eliminate the need for our natural relationships of family and friends and neighbors. So perhaps we need to temper our activities, perhaps pass sometimes on some projects and let others pick them up instead, so that instead of running around with multiple projects, we can take on fewer responsibilities, giving due diligence to that work, while we also cultivate and deepen our relationships with those around us. It is not a waste of time to sit and drink tea together when it strengthens the bonds of family and friendship. When we go for a walk in the neighborhood or in a local park, we connect with the people and nature around us, and we improve our physical and mental health. And when we call an elder who lives alone for some friendly conversation, we might learn some wisdom and perspective, much needed wisdom and perspective, while making also a connection that is appreciated. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to continue to move forward with the best of intentions. May Allah correct us from our errors individually and collectively. May Allah protect us from the many harms that are around us. And we trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the creator and sustainer of all things, is fully capable of allowing this beautiful message of Islam, the reality of Islam, continue in whatever means are the best way that they should go forward. And we ask Allah only that we have an opportunity to show to some extent our sincerity and our gratitude by engaging with some of those initiatives. It's been a wonderful honor to be with you again at the Isna Annual Convention. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, our dear sister, Dr. Ingrid Matson, for your valuable speech. Such important talk. MashaAllah. So coming back to Isna Founders Committee, our current membership is 39. As many of the founders are getting old and retiring age, we are recruiting young professionals. As of today, we have at least 10 to 12 young professionals joined us. I encourage others to join. These people are also involved in the Isna Sustainer Circle. The Isna Founders Committee members are life members of Isna and members of Isna Donors Club, in addition to the individual donations of at least 5,000 to 50,000. Founders had been arranging private dinners until the COVID hits us. But inshallah, we'll continue our work. One of the remarkable contributions I would like to mention is Founders Legacy Fund, which initiated by one of our dear brother, dear founder, Dr. Yaqub Mirza. The current value as of 2 days ago was $792,705. Soon will reach 1 million to be added to Isna Endowment Fund, inshallah. And also it's only contributed by 6 or 7 founders, and I encourage others to join this group, inshallah. Many founders chose Isna as their most favored organization on their death. So Isna will collect $100,000 to $200,000 as bequest. We don't expect them to die soon. May Allah give them long, healthy, and righteous life. So we see the value of big endowment fund for Isna's long-term sustenance and success. As of today, we still have not reached 10 million yet. We are way behind. We have to work hard. So you see, this group is very sincere, devoted, and dedicating their time, talents, and wealth, not seeking any power or position, but there to support Isna for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah accept their effort. Ameen. And please remember them in your dua. And please join me to thank Isna staff under the leadership of our dear brother Bashar Salim current executive director of Isna, Brother Bahauddin Bade, Chief Financial Officer of Isna, for their hard work. As some of you know, the 2019 Isna suffered financially, but alhamdulillah, in 2020, we have recovered from that huge loss. I hope and pray 2021 and upcoming years, Isna will continue to grow, inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your support. Now I would like to recognize past president and current treasurer of Isna, our own Founders Committee member, dear brother Azhar Aziz, for his untiring effort to support and to raise funds for Isna for years after years. MashaAllah, Allah bless the hard work of everyone who was involved in Isna. Now we are towards the end of the session. We are entering our fundraising part of our session. Dear brothers and sisters, we count on you. I can't overemphasize the importance of having Isna as an organization for all of us. But we need to support, generous support, and sincere dua.
As a national organization, Isna has served the Muslim community for over 58 years. We have provided many essential services like the annual convention, conferences, youth programs, and education forums. Through our award-winning magazine, Islamic Horizons, we have provided education and information on major themes and issues of concern within our communities. At the outset of COVID-19 last year, Isna took the lead in forming the National Muslim Task Force on COVID-19.
In the current pandemic with COVID-19 going on last year, we started the National Muslim COVID-19 Task Force, which alhamdulillah very quickly became a very broad coalition of more than 40 national organizations. Through this partnership, we have done a lot of work. We have informed our community. We have provided many services for the community. We have arranged a number of webinars. And with our partners within this coalition, among other webinars, we were also able to arrange 2 webinars with Dr. Anthony Fauci himself.
As we look back in the last year and last year and a half now, and we see what more we have to face, especially as Delta cases surge in the United States and abroad, there are a lot of reasons to be worried, right? I mean, mental health crises, systemic racism, climate change, the list could go on and on. After seeing all these national Muslim organizations come together for this cause, seeing how our Muslim community, alhamdulillah, remains very perseverant despite all these challenges, and they continue to do the hard work despite all the difficulties.
So as soon as the pandemic hit, Isna recognized the need of the community to have its programs and religious activities continue. So we immediately launched the Friday talk with our leaders and scholars from the community. We actually also switched our programming for the youth, and all other programs very quickly we started providing them online in the form of webinars, in the form of town halls, etc.
Isna organized a virtual annual convention with more than 100 national speakers addressing major topics, including COVID-19, social and racial justice, promoting the census, climate change, and other topics that are important to our community. We organized several programs with our interfaith partners to promote equity in healthcare, global access to COVID-19 vaccines, a raise to the federal minimum wage, and economic opportunity for all, and much more.
We entered into interreligious collaboration to create Faith for Vaccines, an initiative that, led by the Muslim community, brought together the largest religious communities in the United States to advocate for vaccine access, equity, and addressing hesitancy in our community as well. This initiative is recognized by the Biden administration. The president sent us a letter to appreciate what we have done to advance equitable distribution of vaccine.
God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has created all of us as equal. It is not the color of the skin, it is not gender, it's not ethnicity that makes a person better than the other. Our African American brothers and sisters has been in the forefront confronting this challenge. We will continue to stand by our brothers and sisters and will continue to lend them our full support, our full voice in this fight to defeat this social evil of racism.
Isna also took a stand on global issues and human rights, including the atrocities in Palestine. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Isna provided guidance and programming for our community. Through Minna, we provided education, training, and engagement for our youth. We arranged a virtual education forum series with hundreds of participants. With our chaplaincy services, we provided support for chaplains in the armed forces, at the Bureau of Prisons, and other institutions. Every Friday, Isna organizes a Friday Reflection program with renowned speakers so that our community could stay engaged when our masjids were closed.
The year and a half that passed have been very challenging and have touched many of us to the core. Many people were hurt physically, others financially, businesses closed, schools were closed, and so many of us felt defeated. And as we move into 2022, we hope that all of you will adopt the theme of the convention to reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve.
My dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us 150 times, asking us, ordering us, commanding us to spend in His path. Islamic Society of North America is your organization, an organization that has been serving you for the last 50 years. I urge you to please be extremely generous and give your generous tax-deductible contributions to Islamic Society of North America. No matter what you do, Isna is always working for you. Please continue to provide your financial support to Islamic Society of North America.
Dear brothers and sisters, throughout these years, Isna has stayed true to its mission for the betterment of the Muslim community and society at large. We have provided services with the evolving needs of our communities. Isna is working every day for the empowerment of individuals and communities to reach their goals and aspirations. We cannot do this without you. Your support and involvement is critical. Please help Isna continue to serve the Muslim community in North America. Visit isna.net to learn more and donate.
الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين إمام المتقين قائد الغر المحجلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرحمن الرحيم. لله ملك السماوات والأرض وما فيهن وهو على كل شيء قدير. صدق الله العظيم. Praise be to Allah, and peace and blessings of Allah be upon our beloved Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and his ummah till the day of judgment. I'm very honored to once again address all of you on behalf of our beloved founders on this community service recognition luncheon. I'm reminded of this very famous quote where a very wise man said, people should be blessed to have good friends in their life who act as both mirrors and shadows. Mirrors don't lie and shadows never leave. I want to begin by expressing my immense gratitude to the Founders Committee and especially the chairman, Dr. Rashid Nizam, for his leadership and for his years of support to Islamic Society of North America. We are immensely grateful to each and every members of the Founders Committee for supporting us and for advice, also for strengthening our hands so that we could continue to provide important services to the American Muslim community. I'm reminded of one of the founders, Dr. Jamal Barzinji, rahimahullah, used to say Every cultured Muslim in North America belongs to two organizations. One is his own, and the other one is Islamic Society of North America. Very quickly, my dear brothers and sisters, I would like to share with you the 6 strategic goals and priorities of Islamic Society of North America. Number 1, community development. Number 2, youth involvement. Number 3, public image of Islam. Number 4, leadership training and development. Number 5, interfaith and coalition building. And number 6, sound financial base. These are the 6 strategic priorities and goals of Islamic Society of North America. Why should you give to ISNA? Many of you might ask this question. So here are the reasons why you should give to ISNA. ISNA has a very special program under the name of Muslim Youth of North America, and for the past several decades, this institution is training our young brothers and sisters, teaching them how to be a proud Muslim and how to be a proud American in this great land. Islamic Society of North America comes up with this beautiful award-winning magazine called as Islamic Horizons. And I urge all of you to subscribe to this publication so that you know exactly what's happening with Islam and American Muslims in North America. We have been for the past several decades hosting the Education Forum, bringing teachers, principals, and educators under one roof so that they can plan properly for our Islamic schools and improve the services to the students who attend Islamic schools. ISNA has been a leader in the interfaith area. They were very instrumental to come up with this shoulder-to-shoulder campaign. And for over a decade, ISNA was the physical agent, and we were able to bring in 35 different faith-based groups and denominations together so that they can stand up with American Muslims, uphold American values. ISNA also provides matrimonial services where hundreds of couples got married through this platform or from this platform. ISNA also does chaplaincy endorsement program, taking care of those individuals who are serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. These are the important services that Islamic Society of North America is offering. Also, my dear brothers and sisters, we live in this great nation of ours, which is known as one of the most philanthropic nations on earth. In 2018, the overall charitable giving of all Americans was $427.71 billion, making this great land of ours one of the most philanthropic nations on earth. My dear brothers and sisters, we once again come to you and ask you to open up your hearts and open up your minds and be extremely generous to support the important work of Islamic Society of North America. You can go online at isna.net, isna.net, and click on the donate button, and within 60 seconds you are able to give your tax deductible charitable contribution to this important organization that has been serving you for last 58 plus years. ISNA is your organization, and without your financial help and support, ISNA cannot continue to provide the important basket of services that we have been offering. My brothers and sisters, in the pre-COVID time, ISNA was able to reach out to at least a dozen communities across America every single year, taking our programs, taking our spiritual conferences, bringing top-notch experts, scholars, leaders, and activists so that they could address issues pertaining to the American Muslim community, and they would also provide their guidance and they would enlighten the audience through their talks and lectures. Inshallah, we are fully committed to start this again once things are improved and things move forward towards a better environment out of this pandemic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used 5 different words for charity in the Holy Quran. Number 1 is zakat, which is an obligatory giving on all of us. Number 2 is sadaqat, that we give on a volunteer basis. Number 3 is khairat, that we give to earn good deeds. Number 4 is ihsan, that we give out of kindness and consideration. And number 5 is infaq fi sabilillah, that we give for the sake of Allah, in the path of Allah. So I urge you, my dear brothers and sisters, to take 60 seconds out of your busy schedule, go to isna.net and give your generous contributions to to this beautiful organization. If you would like to mail a check, you can write a check to Isna and put it in the mail and send it to PO Box 38, Plainfield, Indiana 46168. I repeat, PO Box 38, Plainfield, Indiana 46168. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, reminds us in the Holy Quran where he says, يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر ويسارعون في الخيرات وأولئك من الصالحين. They believe in Allah and the last day. They enjoin al-ma'ruf and forbid al-munkar. And they hasten in all good works, and they are among the righteous. Once a wise lady said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. In crucial things, it is unity. In important things, it is diversity. And in all things, it is generosity. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told Asma bint Abu Bakr, do not count when you spend for Allah's cause, because you don't want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to count his favors on you. Aisha radiallahu anha, the mother of the believers, used to put perfume when she used to spend for the sake of Allah, because she knew before it reaches the beneficiary, it would reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the glorious Quran reminds us when he says, وَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and do good, truly Allah loves the good doers. My dear brothers and sisters, earlier today you heard my dear brother Dr. Rashid Nizam paying rich tributes to two prominent individuals that we lost in last 1 year, Dr. Farooq Salod and Dr. Hussein Nagamia, one of the pioneers of our Founders Committee, individuals who were extremely successful in their professional career, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them both with a very generous heart, and they were lifelong members of Isna, and they were staunch patrons and supporters of Isna. We mourn the loss of these two individuals, but we remember them because throughout their life they have practiced generosity and they have shown immense amount of courage to guide and advise people and to support important causes. And today we remember them and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them highest place in Jannah. My brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Holy Quran, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ, every soul shall taste death. No matter how influential you may be, no matter how rich you may be, no matter how physically strong you may be, no matter how intellectually brilliant you may be, you have to always remind yourself about death, because you cannot escape death. Before that call is going to come and knock on our door, let's do and participate in philanthropic work. Let's support institutions and organizations like Islamic Society of North America, who is doing such an incredible job, survived for more than 58 years. And we pray that it continues to provide these important services for the next 25, 50, 100 or more years, so that the American Muslim community can benefit from the important work of this organization. Today in the morning, you heard the Secretary of Education and also the senior advisor to President Biden, members, top-ranking members of the administration who came and addressed the American Muslim community through Islamic Society of North America's platform. This is the engagement that we have been doing for the past several decades. These are the results of our hard work and the hard work of our founding fathers and mothers and pioneers who have contributed immensely towards this organization. So I remind myself and then to you to please be very extremely generous. Open up your hearts, open up your minds, and be extremely generous and support the important work of Islamic Society of North America. Once a wise man said, history had demonstrated that the most notable winners usually encountered heartbreaking obstacles before they triumphed. They won because they refused to become discouraged by their defeat. My brothers and sisters, in our life, we will face challenges. We will face obstacles and hurdles, but we should never be discouraged. We should put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost, and then do our utmost best to contribute towards the betterment of our community and towards the betterment of our society at large. One day, a teacher asked his group of students, what should be our attitude in expressing our gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So one of the students raised his hand and he said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you, thank him. If he doesn't give you, be patient. So the teacher challenged the student and told him that even animals do this. You give a cookie to a dog, the dog will start wagging its tail. You give a cat, the cat will come and rub its feet. You give some grass to a horse, it will start hopping. And if you don't give it to them, they remain patient. So what is the difference between you and those animals? So at that point, the student asked the teacher, "Oh, teacher, since you are a wise person, what would you advise?" At that point, the teacher said, "If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you, then share. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give you, thank Him, because He will not hold you accountable on the day of judgment." My brothers and sisters, this is a beautiful reminder. I remember one of the early pioneers of MSA and Isna, Dr. Ahmed Sakhar, whenever he used to address fundraising gatherings, he would very loudly tell the audience, "My brothers and sisters, please come forward and invest in BOA." BOA doesn't stand for Bank of America or Bank of Africa. BOA doesn't stand for Bank of Arab or Bank of Ajam. BOA stands for Bank of Allah, where our Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised to multiply the reward into many folds and promised to give us back into multiple folds in return. So today I once again remind each one of you to please come forward, invest in Bank of Allah by supporting an important institution here in North America that has been serving you for last 50 years. Once someone asked Imam Hanbal, if someone has 100,000 dirhams, will he be a zahid, a person away from the distraction of dunya? He said, yes, as far as the money is in his hand and not in his heart. So my dear brothers and sisters, in conclusion, I just want to urge you to please be extremely, extremely generous. Please give whatever you can. One of our founders, Dr. Masoor Shah, may Allah bless him, he pioneered this effort of electronic fund transfer. And you can every month or every week give a small contribution of $10 or $25 or $50 or $100. We are always immensely grateful to all our founders for supporting Isna and for coming up with creative ideas that have helped Isna to sustain all over these years. So once again, I urge you, my dear brothers and sisters, to be extremely generous. Go online at isna.net, isna.net, and click on the donate button and give whatever you can. I know there are more than 3,000 people who have registered to watch this virtual convention this weekend. I would urge all of you to give small contributions, $25, $50, $100 on a monthly basis, and help and strengthen the hands of Isna. If you would like to mail your checks, please send your checks to Isna PO Box 38, Plainfield, Indiana 46168. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless the leadership of Isna. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our founders, our donors, our volunteers, our supporters, and also our staff who has worked tirelessly to put this convention together and bring this important convention through a virtual platform to all of you. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all these brothers and sisters, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them. And with that being said, I would once again remind you in conclusion to please donate generously to Isna. With that being said, I will stop over here and request my dear brother Dr. Rashid Nizam to come in and make final remarks before we end this session. So back to you, Dr. Rashid Nizam.
Thank you so much. And may Allah bless you, Brother Azhar Aziz. Alhamdulillah. You please, dear brothers and sisters, you heard that isna.net is open for you, is always open for you to visit Isna, look at their activities, and donate generously. It's so important to you have your support. And I'll conclude with a small story. In a given village, the one person fell into the water. He does not know how to swim. So people gathered together to help him. Everyone asking, give your hand, give your hand. He's not giving hand. He just keeps sinking. All of a sudden, one person went to the wise man of the village. He says, what happened to this brother? This person is sinking. He's dying. He said, no, don't say that. Give him. Ask him to take your hand. So one person went there, take my hand, and he took his hand. He survived. Brother, belong to those group who give, not take only. May Allah give you the wealth. You are the caretaker only. And use the best use of your wealth, inshallah, in the day of judgment. you will see the tremendous reward waiting for you, inshallah. Again, I remind all my brothers, especially in the founders, and I promise probably I can say I took the liberty to say, inshallah, we'll get at least 100,000 from the founders group, inshallah. So I hope in future we'll work together closely to overcome the challenges we all are facing. I ask Allah to strengthen our bond, to guide our leaders in Isna board and all other volunteers to serve Islam and Muslims in the United States and all around the world. I'm a big believer of being proactive. May Allah help us and guide us all. May Allah reward you all the best. And I conclude the session by inviting you in 2022 CSRL, hopefully inshallah in person in Chicago, and by saying Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayhi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the 58th Annual Isna Convention. Reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve.